In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to insert data in an SQLite database using the SQLite data providers, which you can get from the SQLite.org website. So in my previous video, I managed to create a table in an SQLite database using the same providers, and I named the table the TBL contacts, and the values for the columns are ID, first name, last name, gender, and phone and email. And also on the connection string, the data source refers to the contacts.db database. I'm using the version 3 of the SQLite database, and also there is the new attribute, which basically tells us that whenever you do not find the database, you need to create a new one. So I will switch to my add contact form, and I will double click on the add button to expose the code view. And before anything else, I'll have to import the references of the libraries for the SQLite data providers. So I'll use the system.data, and I'll also import system.data.SQLite. So these are the two libraries that I will need, and I have already imported them, that I will use in my project for this project. The next thing that we're going to do in the button add click event handler, there is where we are going to put our code, such that when the user clicks on the add button, they will insert the data from the form itself. So the first thing that I will do, I will just go back to the form, and I will just copy paste this connection string, because I need it and I will use it there. So the connection string, I can remove the new attribute. So after that, I will also create another variable which will hold the SQL statement for inserting data. So I'll just name it SQL with a string data type. Then I will just put the insert SQL statement. So I'll say insert into the name of the table is the TBL contactor. I'll copy paste, and there we go. And I will put the name for the columns, which is first name, last name, gender. Then we've got phone and email. And I will continue to write the insert statement. There is the values. Now I'm going to use placeholders to be able to insert the data from my contacts. And the parameters will prevent me against the SQL injection attacks. So it's very important each and every time we are inserting data into any kind of a database, and we're using the ADO NET data providers, just make sure you use the parameterized queries to prevent against SQL injection attacks. So I will copy paste the column names. I will use the names for the parameters to be the same as the column names. And I will just append the @ sign before each column name. Remember, the ID column is not here because it is auto-incremented, and therefore we do not need to specify. And I will end with a semicolon, because the SQL statements always end with a semicolon. Another thing that I will do is to create the connection object, dim connection, as a new SQLite connection, and I will specify the connection string, because that is one of the parameters that is required whenever we are creating a new SQLite connection. So I will put the connection string there, connection string, sorry. After that, I will create a new SQLite command object and the command object basically helps us to execute commands against the database. So we'll say dim command as new SQLite command. It accepts various parameters. As we can see here, there is the SQLite connection, there is the command text string, or also it can accept both. In our case, I will put the connection object. The connection object. Then how I love to put the connection string. You'll get to see in just a few lines of code. So the next thing that I will do is to specify the parameters, the command parameters. So I will say command dot parameters dot add, and there is where now we specify the names for the parameters. And here I will use the first name, and I will also that's the parameter name. Then the data type, which when you look at the table, it was the varchar. So we can either insert the data type and specify the data type as a DB type as varchar or string. We can use the string value, and we can also specify the parameter size as an integer. It was of the value of 20, as we can see from our create table SQL statement. And after that, then we can also specify the value that should be put in that parameter, and we'll say dot value equals to txt first name dot text. Another way, we can still use the command parameters. Then you can say add, and this time we'll just put the last name, as the parameter, and we can specify the data type if we want, DB type dot string. Then you can say dot value, and you can specify txt last name dot text. We can also say command dot parameters dot add with value, and we can also specify the column name. This is gender, and we can specify the value, which is txt. No, it's supposed to be the combo box, seed box, gender.text. So any of these options will work in your project that you are using. So I will use the add with value for gender, and I will also use for phone and email, and I will change the controls that will supply the value. We've got the txt phone dot text, and the control that supplies the email value is txt email dot text. After we've done that, we'll specify where to find the SQL statement or the SQL string. So I'll say command dot we are going to say the type. Command type is command.text, command type.text, because we are using the SQL string. If you're using the stored procedure, we'll use the stored procedure value. Then we'll say command.text, command text equals SQL. Then we will open the connection to the database. I'll say connection dot open. One way I love to open the connection is first to check if the connection is already open. So I'll say if connection dot state equals connection state dot closed, then we need to open the connection. I feel it's safer that way. And then after that, we execute the insert command, and we'll use the command dot execute none query. It returns an integer, as we can see, so we can capture, say dim result as integer. Then we can use the result value to notify the user that the insert was indeed successful, and we'll say if a result is greater than 0, the execute none query returns the number of rows affected, and therefore if it's above 0, that means it was successful. If it is 0 or below, that means it was not successful. So if it's above 0, then we need to notify the user using the message box dialog message box dot show, and we'll say contact was added successfully, and we'll say success, and the message box buttons we can say that's just maybe okay button, and maybe the icon, the message box icon for information. You can use information, and also we can just copy this such that when it fails, we also supply a message box, and we'll say the message box icon is for error. Then okay, then we'll say the title for the message box title is error. Then contact failed to be added. So this is the message box that is going to appear when we execute our insert SQL statement and it fails. Then another thing that we need to do is to close the connection, and we can close it just after we have executed the query, and we say connection dot close. So as far as we are concerned, this is the only type of code that we require to insert data in an SQLite database. So I will save my information, then I will run this project. In a few, the form will appear. There is where we can now insert our data. So as we can see, there is nothing in the database. So we'll go to contact, new contact, to expose the form, and I will say Sam as the first name, Riley as the second name. Then I will choose my gender and my phone number, and I will also write my email. Then I will add. So the contact was added successfully, and when I close my form, we can see that indeed the contact was successfully inserted into the database. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more, and thank you very much.